My name is Dominic Miller. I run a business here in Brisbane called Bluebeard Music. We're a management and booking agency. I manage two bands, the Phoncurves and Fowl, as well as Texas Tea, who are on a small hiatus at the moment, and a producer, Magoo. I also book several venues, including the Zoo, Douse Bar, Southside Tea Room, East Street Markets, and a few others. I started in music in my own band, the Rocketsmiths, we were called. We were together for about 6 years, and from about the time I was 17, 18, I was in that band. 4 of my good mates from school and another guy that we knew, worked with at Target, was the drummer. And we just used to play at this old venue in Brisbane called the Indie Temple, which is now defunct, closed. I think there's structural issues, but let's not talk about that. It's down on Wickham Street in the Valley in Brisbane. And we used to play there every weekend, and that's how we started out. And from there we just built. We started playing Rick's in the Valley a lot more, then we moved to the Zoo and just moved on. And we were self-managed for about 4 years. And then had a manager come on board. Leanne D'Souza managed us for a little while, Joe Woolley as well, 2 great Brisbane managers. But we got to the point where I think is where a lot of bands do, where we weren't getting much airplay, and we were putting a lot of effort into trying to get that airplay. And I think it became a bit more about, let's try and get radio airplay than let's try and be creative and have fun. And I think towards the end, we were all a bit uninspired. We weren't having as much fun, and we said, let's just call it a day while we're ahead. So we called it a day, and from there, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I didn't want to play music anymore. I was feeling very uninspired and a bit jaded about playing music and performing and that old thing of, everyone at the start of their career, they have great crowds because it's all the family and friends and everyone wants to support them. But after a little while, you get to that point where family and friends have done their duty and they're not going to come to every gig, and it becomes hard when you start playing to 20 people, or having to put a lot more effort to get people in there. So I decided I wanted to get into management, the other side of it. I'd always loved it when I was self-managed, and I had managed other bands while I was in Rocketsmiths. Wind and Brackets was a band I used to manage. And essentially, I found out that Ben Salter was recording an album with Gareth Lydiard, and they're my 2 favourite Australian songwriters, so I had to get involved with Ben, started working with Ben. Texas Tea, always been one of my favourite bands, so I started managing them. And it just went from there. Picked up the Gin Club eventually, picked up Magoo as a producer and went from there. And I went to the Seed Fund, John Butler's workshop, and around the the log fire or whatever in the lounge room of the place where the workshop is. We all got the guitar out around a few beers, and I played a couple of songs, and people had no idea that I played music, and they all kind of banded together, all these upcoming managers and John Butler and his wife Danielle, who's John and Danielle are the main thrust behind that. And they really encouraged me to start playing music again. So I did. I started playing again and have released a few songs under my solo name, and at the end of last year toured around the country with John Butler. Got to go to Perth for the first time, played in Freo, which was great with John, and he's a king over there, so it was pretty cool. And so now I'm back playing music again, and so managing, booking agent, and playing music.
Awesome.